I recently spoke on the relevance of the two words in Romans 1:16 of Christ. In the King James Bible, it says, "For I am not ashamed of the gospel of Christ, for it is the power of God unto salvation to everyone that believeth, to the Jew first, and also to the Greek." Many times when we're searching whether or not a Bible, a translation, is based on the right texts, the right underlying texts, we go to this verse and we use it as a proof text of orthodoxy or of an alternate modernistic Alexandrian background. And so when I say the relevance, or when I said or spoke about the relevance, what I meant by that is not just the obvious deletion or omission of Christ, his title, the Messiah, the Christ. I was not only referring to the gross omission of those two words, and by the way, there are many such omissions in modern Bibles of the name of the Lord and the title. I was looking for another deeper reason why modern Bibles omit of Christ in Romans 1:16. And I came across an early teacher by the name of Marcion of Sinope in Turkey in the latter part of the first century and early part of the second century. This man, Marcion, was called a heretic for very important reasons. And as I was doing my research, I learned that he did not believe in the deity of Christ. He did not believe, amongst other things, that Jesus and Jehovah were even related. When he drew up his concocted, mutilated scriptures, he omitted all of the Old Testament. He did not believe in the prophecies of the Messiah being fulfilled in Christ in the New Testament. And so they got me to thinking if maybe perhaps the Bibles that are being used today by so many, and I refer especially to my friends in Hispanic churches or circles, particularly using the 1909 and the 1960, which both omit the phrase of Christ. I got to thinking there must have been a reason for that. And you know, Marcion the heretic's Gnostic type Bible circulated abundantly throughout Europe. No doubt that some of the manuscripts that were collated were used in these modern Bibles. And now you would think that this is a small matter, but I say that there is a great relevance because of the subject of the verse. The subject of Romans 1:16 has to do with the power of God unto salvation. That is the most important subject in the Bible, friends. And so I began to think, where would this omission be found in all of the extant or surviving manuscripts? And there's one manuscript which is the oldest one, called the P26. P26 is a manuscript of the book of Romans. And if you look up P26 and you go to Romans 1:16, you will not see the two words of Christ. And so we must ask ourselves, was that the manuscript that perhaps Marcion wrote? Was that his authorship? Was that his personal mutilation? You see, he did not want salvation being attributed to the Messiah, which was prophesied back in the Old Testament. Isaiah 7:14, Isaiah 9:6, and such verses promise the salvation coming through Messiah. And so I posited that perhaps the reason why this verse is mutilated is due to a heretic. And so now we have the possibility of Bible-believing Christians quoting and teaching a Marcionistic verse from a man who was called a heretic by men such as Tertullian, who was his contemporary, who said that he was more able with scissors than with the pen, if you know what I mean. I mean, he was good at chopping the scriptures, taking stuff out. And so that is what we call the relevance of the inclusion of two little words, of Christ. I am not ashamed of the gospel of Christ. May we always quote it properly as we see in the received text in the King James Bible.